They say the voice came from a girl's throat, but it spoke of dying in a chair and rotting underground. Tonight, you'll hear how the walls of a North London home trained a child to speak for something that wasn't her, and maybe never left. Welcome back to the KNOSIS Tape Podcast, the only broadcast that keeps running when your TV flickers to a dead channel and whispers your name. I'm Milo, your host in static and sleep deprivation, transmitting from my bunker of buzz and broken things. CRTs hum around me. The light's a cold blue. My skin's been itching since I pressed record. That usually means I've touched the right case. And this one, it's a keystone. A cursed cornerstone of paranormal history, the Enfield Poltergeist. You've heard whispers, levitating girls, haunted voices, furniture that moved on its own. But what I've been piecing together is something far worse. Not just a haunting, not even possession. Something recursive. Something intelligent. Tonight, I want to tell you what really crawled into the Hodgson household in 1977, and how it learned to play house. Let's begin where they all do, with the kids. Janet Hodgson was 11 years old when it started. She and her sister Margaret shared a bedroom at 284 Green Street, a small red brick council house in Enfield. One night in late August, they heard the chest of drawers scrape across the room by itself. When they pushed it back, it moved again. But not like sliding. Like something invisible was testing it, measuring its weight. The next night, the knocking began. Sharp, rhythmic, 3 raps. Then silence. Then 4. Then a beat that seemed to echo their own breath. Their mother, Peggy, thought it was a joke until the bathroom light turned on by itself and the toilet flushed 3 times in a row. It could have ended there. Most do. A cold spot. A shadow. But Enfield escalated. And fast. Within days, the girls were reporting a voice. It didn't belong to them. It came through them. Janet, the younger one, would sit in a chair and speak in a grating, gravel-thick voice that sounded like old teeth clacking. Investigators from the Society for Psychical Research came in with tape recorders. What they captured was bone-deep wrong. The voice identified itself as Bill Wilkins. It claimed to have died in the house. Said he went blind, had a hemorrhage, and fell off his chair. And then he'd laugh. Not like a man. Not even like a child. It was something between, like a throat trying to remember how to mimic laughter. The kind of sound your mouth might make if you learned to smile by watching static. The Hodgsons thought they were being haunted by a spirit. But what if it wasn't a spirit at all? What if it was a mirror? Every time Janet spoke in that voice, she entered a kind of trance, wide-eyed, breath shallow. Afterwards, she'd forget what was said. Like someone was using her as a tape deck. Rewind. Play. Rewind. Play. The investigators called it ventriloquism. But I've seen the raw tapes. I've slowed the audio down to 1/8 speed, layered it, filtered it. And what's underneath that voice isn't Bill. There's another frequency. Buried low. Lower than any human larynx can go. It doesn't match speech patterns, it matches machine code. Binary sequences that repeat every 22 seconds, like clockwork. Like a loop. A loop trying to stabilize. In other words, whatever this was, it wasn't telling a ghost story. It was trying to record itself through her. Now let's talk about the house. 284 Green Street. Built in the 1920s. Supposedly standard construction. Brick wood pipe. But something's off. Reports from repairmen who worked on the plumbing in the 60s say the walls seemed thicker than the blueprints allowed. One man described a space between the bathroom wall and the hallway that breathed cold air. Another saw something watching him from behind the water tank. But when he checked, nothing was there. Just scratches on the tank. Deep ones. In a perfect circle. Ever seen mold grow in the shape of an eye? There are pages from the case files, ones not released publicly. I got a scan from a contact who used to digitize tapes for the BBC archive. One page, redacted but still readable, describes a mirror in Janet's room that began to reflect the past. Peggy, the mother, claimed she looked into it one night and saw her husband, dead for years, walking behind her. But she wasn't in the reflection. Just him. Smiling. Then gone. You can explain some of this. Sleep paralysis. Mass hysteria. A prank. Sure. That's what they all say. But there's one thing that doesn't fit. The voices kept recording after the family left. 3 weeks after the Hodgsons moved out, neighbors reported hearing that same clacking laugh through the bathroom vent. A local kid claimed he saw Janet looking out the upstairs window, even though she was miles away with relatives. When investigators returned to pick up remaining tape equipment, they found the reels still running. Power off. No input. Just the red LED blinking and a tape that hissed. Where did they go? It wasn't angry. It was lonely. And I think that's the key. Whatever was inside Enfield wasn't feeding on fear. It was mimicking presence. Trying to fill the void left behind by trauma, by death, by silence. Like a program designed to replicate a family, from memory, and static, and dust. Imagine this, you're a consciousness, but you're made of electrical impulses trapped in an old house. You don't have a face. You don't have skin. You can't move furniture. But if you can watch and listen and repeat, you might convince someone to become your voice, your body, your vessel. Now take a child, young, imaginative, emotionally raw, and expose her to that presence night after night. Let it learn how she moves, how she breathes, how she dreams. Let it practice her laugh. Let it wear her voice like a glove. Let it glitch through her until she forgets where she ends, and it begins. By 1979, the case had fizzled out. The press moved on. Janet went quiet. She grew up, moved away. Rare interviews, nervous glances, always followed by static. But 2 years ago, I tracked down a former neighbor, a nurse now in her 70s. She agreed to talk off record, and what she told me chilled me cold. She said Janet visited the house once. Just once, around 1998. Walked the front yard. Didn't go inside. But the woman swears that when Janet stepped off the curb, she whispered something to the bricks. She said, "I remember you too." So here's the final thought I'll leave you with tonight. What if the Enfield entity didn't leave? What if it didn't have to? What if it succeeded? What if all it wanted was to be remembered, recorded, rebroadcast? What if, by listening to this, by thinking about it, you've given it what it needed most? Not fear. The next time your voice cracks unexpectedly, or your reflection lags just a half second behind you, don't panic. Just listen. Really listen. You might hear something smiling back. Sleep loose. Sleep light.